Greetings, dear brothers. Let's study this week's study article together. The question will be analyzed. Can you still learn from basic Bible teachings? Let's start by answering the questions in the paragraphs. Paragraph 1. How did Bible teachings affect you when you first learned the truth? When I first learned the truth, the basic Bible teachings brought me real peace. Learning that God's personal name is Jehovah, as mentioned in Isaiah 42:8, helped me understand that I could build a friendship with Him. Discovering the condition of the dead in Ecclesiastes 9:10 removed unnecessary fears and doubts about my loved ones. And when I read the promise in Psalm 37:29, I realized that I didn't have to worry about the future anymore. Jehovah offers the hope of everlasting life on earth. Paragraph 2. How does 2 Peter 1:12-13 indicate that even mature Christians benefit from basic scriptural teachings? In 2 Peter 1:12-13, Peter reminded Christians who were already well established in the truth about basic teachings. This shows that even mature ones need reminders. At that time, false teachers and ungodly influences were threatening the congregation, so going back to fundamental truths helped them to stay strong. It proves that maturity doesn't mean we no longer need the basics. We need them to resist challenges and remain faithful. Paragraph 3. Illustrate why all Christians should continue to meditate on basic Bible teachings. The illustration of a skilled chef helps us understand this point. Both a beginner and an expert use the same ingredients, but the expert knows how to prepare them in more meaningful ways. Likewise, whether we are new in the truth or mature, the same Bible teachings apply. As our circumstances and privileges change, those teachings can take on new meaning. By meditating on them, we discover lessons that are practical and helpful for our current situation. Paragraph 4. How has learning that Jehovah is the Creator affected us? Learning that Jehovah is the Creator gives our life deep meaning and purpose. As Hebrews 3:4 says, "The one who constructed all things is God." Knowing that an all-wise and all-powerful Creator made us assures us that He understands us completely and cares about us. This simple truth helps us to trust His guidance and to feel confident that our life is valuable in His eyes. Paragraph 5. What truth can help us to cultivate humility? Isaiah 45:9-12. The truth that Jehovah is the Creator helps us to stay humble. When Job became too focused on human reasoning, Jehovah reminded him of His greatness as the Almighty Creator. Similarly, Isaiah 45:9-12 compares us to clay in the hands of a potter, showing that it would be foolish to question Jehovah. Remembering this keeps us from thinking too highly of ourselves and helps us accept God's superior wisdom. Paragraph 6. When might we reflect on Jehovah's exalted position as our Creator? We may need to reflect on Jehovah's exalted position, especially when we start relying too much on our own thinking. As Job 37:23-24 shows, human wisdom cannot compare with Jehovah's. When we meditate on scriptures like Isaiah 40:22 and Isaiah 55:8-9, which highlight God's greatness and superior thoughts, it helps us to stay humble and to put our personal opinions in the right perspective. Paragraph 7. What did Rahela do to accept a change in direction? Rahela admitted that at first it was difficult for her to accept a new organizational direction. For example, when she saw a bearded brother giving a talk, she was surprised. Even after watching the 2023 Governing Body Update #8, but instead of holding on to her feelings, she prayed to Jehovah for help. By remembering that Jehovah is the Creator, as Romans 11:33-36 highlights, she was able to trust that He is guiding His organization. Her humility and reliance on Jehovah helped her adjust. Paragraph 8. How has learning why God permits suffering benefited us? Understanding why Jehovah permits suffering has brought me peace. Instead of blaming God, I learned that suffering comes from inherited sin and imperfection, not from Jehovah, as Proverbs 19:3 explains. I also learned that Jehovah's patience, described in 2 Peter 3:9 and 15, allows millions of people to come to know him. These truths reassure me that Jehovah loves us deeply and will soon put an end to all suffering. Paragraph 9. In what situations might we recall the reasons why Jehovah permits suffering? We may need to recall those reasons when we or someone we love is facing distress, injustice, or loss. As Habakkuk 1:2 and 3 shows, even faithful servants sometimes feel impatient. Reflecting on Jehovah's reasons for permitting suffering and remembering his promise in Psalm 34:19 can strengthen us to endure while we wait for him to remove suffering forever. Paragraph 10. How has Anne coped with the loss of her mother? Anne explained that when she lost her mother, she found comfort by reminding herself that Jehovah is not the cause of suffering. She reflected on Jehovah's promise to eliminate suffering and resurrect the dead. Meditating on these truths gave her peace of mind that helped her cope with her sadness. Paragraph 11. How can Jehovah's reasons for permitting suffering help us to continue preaching? Knowing that Jehovah permits suffering to give people the opportunity to repent motivates us to continue preaching. As 2 Peter 3:11 shows, this knowledge should move us to holy conduct and works of godly devotion, including the ministry. We want others to benefit from Jehovah's patience, so we work hard to share the good news before the end comes. Paragraph 12. How has learning that we are living in the last days benefited us? Seeing prophecy fulfilled exactly as described in 2 Timothy 3:1-5 strengthens our faith. The worsening attitudes of people prove that the Bible is accurate and reliable. As a result, we are more convinced that God's promises are sure, as 2 Timothy 3:13-15 emphasizes. Paragraph 13. In harmony with Jesus' illustration found at Luke 12:15-21, what might we ask ourselves? We might ask ourselves whether our priorities reflect urgency for spiritual matters. The rich man in Jesus' illustration was unreasonable because he focused only on storing up treasures for himself. So today, we can examine our goals and ask, am I using my time, resources, and strength primarily to store up treasures in heaven? Paragraph 14. As illustrated by Mickey's experience, why is it wise to meditate on the scriptural evidence that we are living in the last days? Mickey's experience shows that meditating on the evidence of the last days can help us make wise choices. She realized that pursuing a demanding secular career might make it hard to reach her spiritual goals. By remembering that this system is temporary, she chose a simpler path that allowed her to pioneer and serve where the need is greater. This decision gave her true satisfaction and usefulness in Jehovah's service. Paragraph 15. How might people still respond to the good news? Give an example. Even if people first reject the good news, they can change. A clear example is Jesus' half-brother James. For years he did not accept Jesus, but after the resurrection, James became a faithful disciple and a pillar in the congregation. John 7:5, Galatians 2:9. This encourages us not to give up on unbelieving relatives or others who have not shown interest. Paragraph 16. How have you benefited from Jehovah's reminders? Jehovah's reminders strengthen our faith and love for him. Even when talks or articles are prepared for newcomers, they benefit us too. For example, simple explanations of basic truths remind me of Jehovah's promises, make me more effective in the ministry, and help me teach others more clearly, as Psalm 19:7 says. Paragraph 17. In what situations might you reflect on basic Bible teachings? We might reflect on basic Bible teachings when we are tempted to push our own opinion instead of following Jehovah's organization. Remembering that Jehovah, the Almighty Creator, directs His organization helps us stay humble. Likewise, when enduring trials, we can reflect on why Jehovah permits suffering. Now we move on to the review questions. What practical lessons can be drawn from these basic Bible teachings? Jehovah is the Creator. Knowing Jehovah as our Creator helps us to trust that He knows us better than anyone else. Since He designed us, He understands our needs and what will make us truly happy. This truth gives our life meaning and reminds us to look to Him for direction instead of relying only on our own wisdom. Next question. What practical lessons can be drawn from these basic Bible teachings? Why God permits suffering? Understanding why Jehovah allows suffering protects us from blaming Him for the world's problems. We know suffering comes from sin and imperfection, not from Jehovah. His patience gives people time to repent and to learn the truth. This truth motivates us to keep preaching and helps us endure trials with faith. Next question. What practical lessons can be drawn from these basic Bible teachings? We are living in the last days. Recognizing that we are living in the last days gives us urgency in setting our priorities. We want to focus on storing up treasures in heaven, not on material pursuits. This teaching motivates us to use our time and resources wisely in Jehovah's service.